Your four favorites are The Wrestler, Whiplash, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and Gran Torino. So some overarching themes I noticed are aging, confronting mortality, characters pushing themselves to their limits, personal sacrifice, mentorship, redemption, and reconciliation. First up, a movie that I think represents all of those ideas, and that's also a fight movie like The Wrestler, is Warrior. The Red Shoes is about someone who's so obsessed with their art and is devoted to perfecting their craft like Whiplash, and the protagonist is a dancer like Daisy and Benjamin Button. Speaking of dancers, one of the characters in Limelight is a dancer, and this movie is perfect for you because the protagonist is an aging performer struggling to find purpose like in The Wrestler. Like Whiplash, these characters are passionate and dedicated artists. Like Benjamin Button, it's about aging and legacy. And like Gran Torino, it's about an older man reflecting on his past and acting as a mentor to someone younger. Good Will Hunting depicts a man acting as a mentor to someone younger, like in Whiplash and Gran Torino, except in this movie, the mentor is actually kind and compassionate. And like Whiplash, it's about a young man dealing with the pressure to live up to his potential. Like The Wrestler, the protagonist is struggling with his personal demons, and like Benjamin Button, it's about self-discovery and personal growth. The Rider, like The Wrestler, is about the toll that a physically demanding profession takes on a person's mind and body, and like Whiplash, the protagonist has an intense dedication to his craft. Wild Strawberries is about an aging man reflecting on his past choices like The Wrestler. Like Benjamin Button, it's about mortality and the passage of time and the people who come in and out of our lives. And like Gran Torino, the protagonist is a bitter old man whose demeanor softens after he connects with some younger people. Leaning into the grumpy older man who eventually softens and connects with others trope, I want to recommend A Man Called Uva, even though I know you already saw the American remake. Inside Llewyn Davis is about a struggling performer like The Wrestler, except instead of performing as a wrestler, the protagonist in this film is a musician, like the protagonist in Whiplash. All That Jazz is about aging and mortality, like three of your favorites. And like Whiplash, it's about artistic obsession, and it has an element of music to it because the protagonist is a theater director and choreographer. Amour is about aging and mortality, like three of your favorites, and like Whiplash, the characters have backgrounds as musicians or music teachers. The Father is also about aging with more of a focus on dementia, which is something that's also depicted in Benjamin Button. Speaking of Benjamin Button, another movie about someone dealing with a physical anomaly and how they navigate the world around them is Edward Scissorhands. I wrote down quite a few fight movies since you like The Wrestler, but the ones I think you'd like the most that tie in with some of the themes in your favorites are Raging Bull, Requiem for a Heavyweight, The Fighter, and Creed. But a movie that isn't about sports that I think has a similar vibe is Leaving Las Vegas, because like The Wrestler, it's about a self-destructive man who's in a state of decline and forms a connection with a sex worker. Since you like Whiplash, I think you should check out Amadeus, which is also about talented musicians with a sense of tension and rivalry. Rush is a sports film like The Wrestler, but with racing instead of wrestling, and it's about ambition, the pressure to succeed, and rivalry or competitiveness like Whiplash. Since you like Benjamin Button, I think you might enjoy Never Let Me Go, which also involves romance and is about how fragile life is and how our time is so limited. I mentioned mentorship when I talked about Whiplash and Gran Torino, and another movie that comes to mind that has that sort of dynamic is Up in the Air. And like The Wrestler and Whiplash, it depicts characters who are dedicated to their career or craft. Moneyball is a sports movie like The Wrestler. It stars Benjamin Button, and it's about ambition like Whiplash. And like The Wrestler, part of the story is about the dynamic between father and daughter, and the daughter is an aspiring musician like in Whiplash. Marion Max, like Gran Torino, depicts a man whose life is changed after forming an unlikely bond with someone younger with a very different personality from his own. And like Benjamin Button, it's an emotionally bittersweet film about the connections we make and how they evolve over time. Since you're a fan of The Wrestler and Gran Torino, I think you'd like First Reformed, because it's also about an isolated man trying to figure out his purpose and reflecting on his regrets. And Boy A, like The Wrestler and Gran Torino, is about a man haunted by his past trying to rebuild his life or find some sort of redemption.